How's it going, Dave from Comic Book Investments? Well, today I just got in a collection. It's right here. Here's the only CGC book from it. It's a SpiderMan 122.94. It wouldn't fit in these boxes, so it came a little separate. But yeah, so I got this collection in. It's a run of Spider-Man from 52 all the way up to 400. Pretty much complete. Only ones missing are like the big keys, like 300, 129, and 232, and 121. But everything else is there. It's all pretty much fairly high grade, I would say. Anywhere from the 6s to the 8s for the lower issues, all the way up to the 9/8s, 9/0, for the higher issues when you get to the mid 100s. But yeah, this collection, it took a little while to get going. We went back and forth, which is typical. Many emails. He showed me a list of what he had. A lot of times with pictures, it's kind of hard to just say like, hey, send me pictures of 400 comics. So what I usually do is I'll ask for like a grade range of like, well, what do you think this grade is, this grade, this grade? And they'll give me like a grade. Like, oh, I think, issue 100 is whatever, an 8.0, right? Then I'll have them send pictures, and then I'll just match up kind of like, okay, he overgrades or he undergrades or he's pretty much on target. And I usually do that with like a handful of books of the keys, the more expensive ones. And that way it's like, because it's like, do I really need to know like what the exact grade is of like Spider-Man, 258, right? It's not really a key. It's not really in anything. If he calls it a 9.4 and it's actually a 9.0, is that really going to make too much of a difference? Probably not. But if it's, 100 or 101 or 50 or 300 or, 10, something like higher value, then those little grade bumps do make a huge difference. So usually that's how I go if it's like a big collection like that. And then I'll go through and I'll price everything and what I think it's worth, what do I think I can get for it, and then we negotiate back and forth. With this one, I've done deals like this before. The guy wanted to basically unload a lot of his stuff to get better stuff. So he wanted to do a trade. And he wanted to go for good investable books. So he got rid of like a bunch of his stuff to get basically like 4 books for this whole collection. And that's like perfectly fine. I told him, I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. You don't have to lug the stuff around, takes up less space. And the value that you're getting for the books is much better because they're high grade keys, really good popular keys that, you got like Silver Age and Bronze Age keys. Is much better than having a bunch of, a run of Spider-Man. Unless you want that thing. I think he already had a bunch of these like copies of this stuff, so I think this is more of like his duplicates and things that he didn't quite really wanted. He was looking for more investing books, blue chip books. So we went back and forth, and the trade part is always really hard because since I'm a dealer, it's like I have to sell all this stuff. Like I'm giving you really good keys that would take me like a week to a month to sell, and now I have to do all this. It's a lot more work. So it's like I have to price that in when doing a trade. And I was like, if you want, you can just sell these and then give me the money for those keys, So it's really hard to tell someone that, and for them to get it. Like, hey, look, you want these, 4 books. Let's say it's 10 grand, right? You want these 4 books and it's 10 grand. But you expect me to give you 10 grand for this, like an even trade? It doesn't work that way because now I have to go through the hassle of a lot of time and energy to go through these books, see which ones are going to CGC, see which ones are, hoping they come back the grade I want, and then I have to, sell each one of these. That's like emails. Like imagine if I got, an email every 5 books on one of these. You're looking at tons and tons of emails. Just going back and forth with different customers, all sorts of stuff. Lots of work goes and times into it. So it's like I'd rather have the 4 books that I know are going to sell within a week and a month, and these are going to take maybe some of these books could take like up to a year or so to sell. So I have to explain it to them. So I'm always like, if you do a trade, you're probably going to get less money because on top of that, they're like, well, it's worth this much. I'm like, fine, you go sell it. You go lose 10 to 20% selling it through eBay, Heritage, wherever you want to sell it, and then come back to me with the money, and I'll go ahead and sell you the few books that you want. And so some people don't like that, and the deals don't happen. And other people understand it, and they go, yeah, I get it, right? If I went to sell this on my own, I would lose all the percentage and all the time of selling it, taking pictures of each one and all that kind of stuff. You could send it all to Heritage. They put it in a giant lot, and you get like a fraction of what it's worth. If you want to get like top dollar, you literally have to picture each one, sell each one, send some of them CGC. It would take you a year to get through this stuff sometimes, like between sending it to CGC, which is a 9-month turnaround. So yeah, that's why it's really hard to do deals. And I would say only of the deals that get presented to me, like maybe only 25% actually work out. So it's pretty low how many deals actually work out compared to how many emails I get. Most of the times it's emails like back and forth a couple times and boom, nothing. The only other deals that don't really work out is like if people have stuff that's like I'm not interested in. Like I'm like, I can't do anything with this, you know. Who wants a modern book that's not a key that's in like an 8.0 grade? Like no one. So it's like you can't do anything with it. And I get that a lot too, where people are like, oh, I have this stuff and it's worth like a couple $100, but it's spanned over like 100 different issues. I'm like, I'm not gonna buy your $1 to $2 books. Like I can't make any money that way, you know. So I usually pass on that. I usually always, if I can't make a deal with them, I always give them the best option of what to do. Like if it's like too low for me, like there's nothing there I could actually sell or do anything with. Like I can't put up a $2 book. It cost me almost $1 just to list it on eBay, and then you lose 10% of the final value fee. So you basically all that time and energy, I get nothing out of it. So I always tell them like, okay, these are the best options. Like you can go here, 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 do this, 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 and I always give them options. That's usually how I like to do things, so people, know what to do with their comics if they want to sell it. But yeah, so back to this, got it in. We did a trade. So let's go through it and see. I'll pull out some of the cooler ones and we can go through it. Okay, so let's go through this collection. But before I do, if you haven't subscribed already, please think about subscribing. Really helps out the channel. All right, so let's get into it. This is the only book that was graded by CGC that was in this collection. 9.4 SpiderMan 122. Pretty cool. Most of them are all going to be around that grade. Okay. We got SpiderMan 52, 53. It's pretty much complete run. A lot of these are pretty high grade. Like, let's see, this one, just looking at the front of it. Obviously, I'm not taking out looking at the back, but it looks like it could be in the 8 to 9.0 range. So a lot of these will fall into that category. Not all of them. Some are a little lower, like this one is probably going to fall into the 7 range. Again, not looking at the back. Now what I did was, when I got this collection in, I went through them just to make sure everything was there that he said was in it, which it was. And then I quickly glanced at the more important keys to make sure there's no pages, coupons missing, all that kind of stuff. Like I'm not going to go through a book that's worth $5 to see if a coupon or a page is missing, like because I'm on like a time schedule because he shipped them here, and then I had to hurry up and go through them all. So that would have taken me a long time, especially like the higher numbers, right? Like if you're going through SpiderMan, like 350, do you think there's going to be a page missing or a coupon cut out? Usually not likely. It's usually in the older issues. They're more expensive. Got the Vulture. So this one coming up is in the 9.0 range. Again, not looking at the back, just giving you kind of a rough idea of what these are. Yeah. And in case you're wondering what I paid, which everyone always asks me, I did not pay anything. Like I said, I traded for this. I traded a, yeah, like I said, I did not pay for this. I did a trade with some comics. But yeah, he got some nice Silver Age keys, FF48 and 49, a Marvel Spotlight 5, and was it Star Wars #1. All pretty high grade stuff. So definitely worth getting. He's asked me advice on what I think, like as far as investment goes. And I gave him like a list of books, and I was like, well, definitely get FF48. Like that's a good investment, long term, things like that. And so he picked up one of those, and yeah, he was a big fan of Ghost Rider, so got one of those. The Prowler. Yeah, like this one was like a 6. This one's more in the 8 range. So yeah, there's kind of all over the place. But Spider-Mans are good. They're good. You know, they sell pretty well, pretty quick. Which is like the key when you're in this business. Here's a tip for you guys. If you're in this business, you have to look at and weigh how fast this is going to sell versus how much profit I'm going to get. So an example, like a Hulk 181, right? You won't get very much profit because they usually go for a lot, but you can sell it pretty quick, as opposed to maybe an old Golden Age that's like rare, not very many out there. You have to wait for the right buyer to get the amount of money you want for it, but that could sit for years. I have many books that have sat for many, many years. Many, many years. And that's just what happens with more rare books. Yeah, so what I'll do next with these is I'm already shipping out the guys' stuff. Then I will go through these, figure out which ones need to go to CGC, which ones don't, which ones, you know, and then process them all, and then off they go to where they need to, and yeah, and I'll sell them. So I haven't really gone through the grades. I know some people will ask me like, oh, can I have this book? And which I get, you know, quite often when people ask me, like when they see these videos of me going through stuff, they're like, oh, can I have this, 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 and this? And I'm like, well, if I haven't processed it, I can't really give you an idea of what it's going to be, what price I want for it. Especially something if it's like a raw book that I'm selling, it's like I have to grade it first. I have to see where it's at. So yeah. Like I still haven't even gone through. I went through all those CGC books that I got the other day, but we haven't processed them. We haven't listed them, put them up, pictures, all that kind of stuff. So we still have to process it all. Like this 98 right here. Just glancing at it. It's a 9.2. Probably somewhere in there. Like I said, not looking at the back cover. I'll do that later. Like this one's probably an 8.0. This one's going to be in the 7.0 range. So no 101. I think that was the first key that was missed. It was 101. Let's see, this 104. This book has been popping up a lot because of Craven. That's a higher grade book right there. All right, let's just kind of go through the bigger keys now. 119. I always like this because I like the Hulk. And I have the 121 over there. It's 9.4, but there is no 122. Yeah, what's crazy is this book right here, for a while, wasn't that expensive. It has went crazy high in value. And then there's no 129, but there is a 135. Like this 124. Probably an 80. But yeah, that's it. Like it goes all the way up to 400. The Carnage one is the second printing. There is no number 300. Most of the rest of stuff is, it has 252. It has, 265. It has 316. All that stuff. It's all those rest of the books go into like the 90 to 98 range, I would say. Pretty much, probably like 160 on up, 170 on up. Just quick glances. But yeah, that's pretty much it with this collection. People have asked me multiple times, like, where do I get my stuff? I get in a lot of collections. Some big, like this is a decent size. Some small, where it's just a handful of books. And so, yeah, I try to showcase most collections that I get. Not all of them, but most of them. And I mean, a lot of times I'll do deals and it's just like 3 books, right? So I don't know if that's really a collection. But yeah, so I get my books like from collections, all this kind of stuff. Like I'll go through this and I'll pick out all the ones I have to send to CGC. I have a bunch of other collections I have to go through still. But as you know from my previous videos, I'm in the process of moving, doing a bunch of random stuff. So yeah. All right. Well, as always, link to my website down below, collectorscomics.com, where you can find pretty much all this stuff once it gets listed. Every Wednesday, Thursday, we list our new stuff, and it's first come, first serve. And then we list it later in the weekend, that weekend on eBay. So if you're on our website, you get first crack at it. And I'll always link to my music down below if you want to check it out. My band's Love Angeles. We're on all the streaming platforms. And have a